Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Vicky 3. This is episode 10. We are still with Ashanti for this one, 1903, so we are into that later phase. We've got about a third of the playthrough left to go. Things had suddenly turned sour when it came to the United States, but we are back to cordial. They did not have a positive attitude. We started improving relations, and it's back. But also, we just saw a slight negative balance become a drastically negative balance quite quickly here. So diplomatic pacts is that main source of cost, and I'm pretty sure a lot of that obviously has to do with the fact that we are once again stuck paying war reparations, this time to Oyo, but France charging a very hefty penny, uh, subsidizing the railways. It's one of those things we might test kind of dropping here at some stage. But we can stop construction temporarily, and it would get us back to positive. But now all of a sudden it's jumped to 4. Why is this going up so fast? The expenses don't seem to be changing, which means the income is probably dropping. And does that mean that the French market is once again having trouble? Could be the case. It's not revolution, at least. They're building a barracks. That's not going to help terribly much, and that's going to increase, military wages slightly. It is bringing us up a little bit. I think we are pushing from 35 to 40 units, and so we're not going to have a ton of income, but this will be done in a couple weeks. So we will take a little break, check our balance. We're down to 1.1 on the gold reserves, million, so we're still in that million category, and taking away that construction cost will just about make us neutral. We can sit tight for a little bit and recover on that one. Now, as for today's episode, it is going to be maybe on the shorter side. I am on a significant time crunch. Helped my nephew move this morning, and I have my first basketball game of the season for the girls varsity basketball team, and that's a combination that leaves me very little time. And if you haven't seen it yet, Football Manager 23, FM 23, my new series, Newton Heath, just came out with the first episode less than 24 hours ago. And that, likewise, is keeping me quite busy. There we go. There is that balance just about neutral now. The diplomatic pacts costing even more than it was. So for whatever reason, the expense is increasing. Military wages went up by 1,000. Those new units. So that's the other reason why we don't quite have a positive balance at the moment. Checking in on the government, it's a mixture of happy and definitely not happy. The trade unions in particular are quite angry. I would love to get the intelligentsia and trade unions into a more stronger position, but that's not the case right now. We've been pushing the rural folk because, of course, we still have laws that we want to push in a certain direction, but it just hasn't been able, to be a thing. We do have national supremacy. Is cultural exclusion a better way to go? What do we have? Plus 200 authority. It drops to plus 50 authority, so we would lose 150 authority, but it does unlock debt slavery, which we already have, and then slavery banned. That would definitely be a good one. Banning slavery could be a step in that direction of where we want. Racial segregation would be a step in between, and that doesn't actually do anything for us. We do have support to get that done. So we had support. What just happened? Interest group leader retires. I think that just ended what would have been a fairly easy pass. Radicals are still in fairly rapid decline. We've had a nearly 60,000 drop over the past year, so it's steadily coming down. It's still a lot, though. That's still a high number. Population approaching 2.5 million. We have fallen. We were above 15. We're at 14.9 though. Our university isn't costing us much money, so I'm going to go ahead and increase that to a level 2. It looks like other things like the food industries, the motor industry is actually doing really well, so consider expanding those. The textile mill is doing decently well. The rubber plantation is still something that's doing quite well, and it looks like there's a rubber shortage in the French market is something that I had picked up on, so we're going to want to bring that up as well. And yeah, things are going relatively okay. With another big wave of upgrades, it's going to take a little time to get through them, and of course in the short term we're back to having that negative balance as a result. Now, two ways that this resolves. One, I wait it out, get those upgrades done, and then we go back to sitting tight with a hopefully better balance by that point. But likewise, waiting it out for those reparations to Oyo to go away, and then probably sit tight for a little while and not immediately jump into the next diplomatic play. But in the meantime, continue to make nice with those around us. There is a lot of unrest in the territories nearby, I'm seeing. That's a good thing, because even though we still have plenty of radicals which, for whatever crazy reason, aren't going anywhere right now. I mean, they have stayed quite steady over the past year. It's barely dropped. We are subsidizing a decrease to that. It looks like the radicals we did have in Ashanti Volta are gone, so that's good. Mostly gone anyway, but a lot of work to do still to bring that down. And that means political plays are something I'm going to have to be really careful of in the short term, as we have dropped below 1 million. The balance is getting worse right now. Where is that going up? It looks more like it's a income coming down more than anything, but with plenty of issues in the surrounding territories that could help us, that could free things up. Britain, cautious. Yeah, as we're neutral, let's try to fix relations with Britain here. EU is no longer tied to Denmark. They owe an obligation to Sokoto. They have a truce with Denmark, but they are not. Now, I think in this case it would add it back into both of the two states that we have here, as it's, I believe, part of both of them, or one of them anyway. They're incredibly weak, so it would be an easy acquisition if everybody else bothered, to stay out of it. The war reparations are now a thing of the past, and yet our balance is not only not better, it's worse. For one thing, France charging us more and more, spending $6,500. That's expensive. Sending that to them. I mean, it's 20% of our expenses. I mean, that is relatively high. The construction goods are obviously one way to get around that. We are getting into the later phases of some of those upgrades, and so we'll be able to take a break soon. That still leaves us short by a couple thousand. Consumption taxes have dropped off a bit. We're just not quite bringing in the money we were. The economy is just a little bit worse off, really, than it was. I'm looking at the fact that we can do exports, imports now if necessary, but within the French market itself, we still seem to have kind of everything here. Britain decided they very much don't like us again, so we're working on trying to fix that before the eventual thinking about going for another play. But now Prussia has interest in the area. And also Austria have interest in the area, so we're seeing more and more of the European powers intervene, get in the way, and we're down to 30 years on this playthrough, to the stage where I don't think there's much that I can do diplomatically successfully. I think we're going to have to just get what we can out of growing the economy. Having mining accidents is not helpful. But it looks like most of the economic shortage we have right now is going to be resolved in two ways. Going back to the medium taxes, and then construction being done for a little while. France charging like 1,500 more than what they were. The military wages, of course, getting a little bit higher than what they were. The government wages have have gone up slightly as well. Radicals slowly going away, but still 400,000 of them. It's a process, let me tell you. And, Ashanti here is very much hands tied in the balance of world order. There's, compared to, like, say, EU4, where you can make diplomatic plays, even as a small nation, more easily without interfering or bothering larger nations. As long as you don't do it frequently, you can get away with doing bits of activity at a time. Here, they don't like any activity. I mean, we've successfully, I'd say 1 out of 10 times. Is it 10? I mean, that feels about right. Maybe it's only more like 1 out of 8, but either way, we've got, 10-15% success rate in terms of making a diplomatic play without offending a large nation. Of course, part of that is more realistic to what's going on in world politics in 1907 versus, EU4, where you're in the 15th, 16th, 17th centuries. There's more happening. There's more happening here. I would love to make progress, but, our hands are tied politically, and our hands are tied diplomatically with other nations, so internally and externally. The economy not doing so hot at the moment either. So, yeah, number of things kind of working against us. But we're almost done with the construction phase, and then that'll free up quite a bit. We'll turn it back on here shortly. That just got better. Consumption taxes and income taxes both went back up, and that construction will be done soon. So we might not have to turn things back up short term. 400,000 on those radicals. That's the worrying thing, right? That's a lot of our population, which is over 2.5 million now. And we are back into that 15 and climbing range. GDP up over 7 as we sit 95th in the ranks with a prestige of 63. Oh, I thought we were about to be done with upgrades. We do have 1 rubber plantation going in here in Ashanti Volta. Okay, checking it. The U.S. now fully occupied through here, and it looks like they were also expanding this way, so getting larger and larger. And, in real life, this becomes mostly French territory, but not in this playthrough. France gets through here, and they're getting more and more control through here. You can clearly see. Ottoman Empire not looking terribly strong. Egypt getting Constantinople, or Istanbul, whichever. It's still called Constantinople here. Yes, it is. Interesting borders in the U.S., and we are seeing an Indian peasant revolt. No changes in South America. Hawaii has an aristocratic revolt. I don't think they've been absorbed by the U.S. at this stage. Not much changing on the world map other than the expansion of France and the U.S. in Africa. Austria is after Benin, and you have Great Britain on their side, but not with the same sort of numbers. They have Italy supporting, they have Krakow supporting, and then of course Benin being supported by Britain taking over the leadership of this one. So looks like Austria is about to become a player in the region as well. Well, they are becoming a player in the region, but we'll keep a close eye on this one as it builds. I could foreseeably get involved. It looks like that just ended the playthrough with Great Britain backing. No, that's it. That's done. They conceded. It's Austria now. Austria now owns Benin, so they are in the region now as well. So once again, those Western powers are involved. I think we should feel rather fortunate, ultimately, that France took us as a subject and not just absorbed us, because you're seeing so much of that territory around us be gobbled up by uh, the Western powers, and where we aren't independent, we are at least still existing and still have at least some autonomy. We also do have that positive balance finally, so that's really good to see. And did it without increasing the taxation level. The consumption taxes are actually a lot more than what we're getting in income tax. Currently, France is changing their attitude towards us, which is getting a little bit worrying on what that could mean. Also, the radicals that had been going away are suddenly coming back at a very rapid rate, as we're back up to 430,000. We've done absolutely nothing to offend anyone, and yet here we are in a heap of trouble. Once again, national supremacy. We could move up to racial segregation. We'd lose 100 authority. The devout would like it. The intelligentsia would like it. The petite bourgeoisie are the only ones that don't. I think that might be a good move. It's only a small step, but it's a step. And we have not made progress anywhere. And without issues coming from that one, might as well get on with it, right? Support is medium. We're not increasing radicals by doing this. We might as well. France has stopped damaging relations, so at least that's happened. They didn't keep at that for very long. First phase on the racial segregation, we have a quarter chance of having it succeed now. It was debated, so we had a debate. I don't think it changed. It actually an enactment success. So we had a plus 10% through the debate. So it was a positive outcome on that one. And we're up to 35% chance. Advance has a 50% chance. And debate is rather small. No chance of stalling. That's good. We've nearly got the UK at a steady enough position that we can back off on improving relations and work on our overlord France and try to get them back into a positive light, because they have yo-yoed between making us not happy relationship wise and then doing nothing. But it's down into the teens, I believe, on where it stands right now. There you go. There's 25. Let's go ahead and they expelled diplomats, so we can't improve relations, and they are domineering towards us right now. Neutral down to a +9. Gold reserves had dropped down to 500,000 from the 1.5 we were at, so I'm trying to build that back up. I'd like to get some construction going again. Right now it would dip into a negative balance though by about 1,000, so we need to spend more time not building than building at the moment. But I want to get little bits done here and there. Arms industry not making any money right now, but that textile mill is doing fine. All of these are struggling at the moment. They were doing so much better. The rubber plantation still seems to be a quite profitable prospect. Coffee plantations are doing well. And racial segregation has passed on that second attempt. Nice. We had, 35% chance? So it's only slight progress, but we have made progress diplomatically without offending people. So we'll get a second textile mill. That's fine. That'll take 1 year. That's all we're going to do for a little bit. Just one project at a time. Following the passing of that law, just taking a look at where everybody's at. Legitimacy is at 91%. Could look to do some reforming right now while we don't have problems, while we don't have issues. The devout or the armed forces might want to get involved in the government. Uh, Rural folks still have a negative. Part of the reason why I haven't changed things is, I'm still hoping to have some progress in the economy sector when it comes to laws. Getting us out of the traditionalism into agrarianism, but the landowners don't like it, and that's that big problem, right? That's that obstacle that's getting in our way. Even the land-based taxation, we can switch up, but we need to get down this list. And there's a little bit of support here and there, but it's the landowners that hate it. It's the landowners that hate it. It's the landowners that hate it. I think the reason why I keep seeing radicals climbing is we keep having these mining incidents over and over again. I keep getting this event, and it does increase radicals, and that's probably where that is coming from. Complicated situation in Togo is not doing well, but one of the key reasons why Togo is not doing well, or actually facing some devastation, because EU has a revolt happening right now. Without the railway, our infrastructure situation is getting worse and worse in Togo. It's going to come at a cost, but it's going to improve the economy there. So I think it's time we suck it up. We've got the railway in both of the other two regions, and they are doing well. Togo is suddenly struggling. France is making a huge play right now, starting in Oyo, and it's growing as Sokoto and Bornu decide to come to the aid. It's setting up a pretty nasty situation where now they're looking to conquer territory, to open up treaty ports. Yeah, this is about to get ugly to our east, but at least it's France. So France has gained port control in Oyo, and then they backed down otherwise, so we didn't see the larger conflict that would have seen them do even more. Now, with construction costs, we have a negative balance, but it's not that bad, and that railway is going to be done soon. I'm curious to see how Togo is going to be looking once that railway's up. I mean, yes, we're going to have that subsidy cost. We're going to add a good 1,000 or so in costs, but I'm guessing the economic gain. You could see Togo, their situation getting worse and worse and worse and worse as the infrastructure is a serious problem. It's minus 16, which is giving some pretty big penalties right now. It only has 61% access to the market because of that. So we're gonna see that change drastically. Here we're at 95%. We are at -2 on the infrastructure now in Ghana. In Dahomey, it's still at 100%. It's at 0 though. We're down at 61% here. It's a -3. It's definitely a different matter than being -16. There you go. That's down to a -14 from a -16. -12 now. And I bet you that GDP is going to climb steadily. Hopefully enough to more than make up for the cost of the railroad subsidy. Mark it up to 80% now. There we go. Now it's +1. 43 and 44. Access to the market now. Coming up on 100%. GDP has already climbed a bit. And already to the point where, it's almost paying for itself. Let's check in on that railway. How is it doing? All right, let's get into Togo. We've got to start applying things to that. You're going to see, Glassworks making some money now. The rubber plantations making some. And so we've added sulfur, rubber, logging camps, and the coffee plantations to the railway transportation network. And you're seeing some rapid improvement in those areas. They're already making better money than they were. Checking back in on Togo itself, it's already paid for itself. Looks to be, and then some, really, because we only had a very slight balance without construction. Now we have a pretty healthy balance. It's gone up by at least a couple thousand. All right, folks, my hands might be really, really tied when it comes to growth and expansion, so we are having to play tall, but play tall we are. We have nearly reached 8 million in GDP. We're now over 40% literacy. We're also improving our standard of living, now comfortably above that 15 mark where it's hovered for a while. Population continues to grow, now at 2.67 million, and the radicals are starting to fall off once again, back down to 400,000. And meanwhile, the loyalty group has almost doubled. Economy looking the best it's been in quite some time. Okay, we're getting somewhere. We are getting somewhere. We passed one law. It's really hard to get anything going, though, with these landowners continuing to not only be the most powerful group, but also be backed by our leadership, right? King Brituo and the heir are both part of the landowners group, and it's just making it really, really, really hard for us to change anything internally. So I'm kind of having to go through the tech tree and see if we can't make something happen through those means. But otherwise, our hands are so very, very tied at the moment. But that's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.